He was rich. He was perfect. He was every woman's dream. But behind his charming smile, behind his tailored suits and soft voice, lived a deadly secret. Women in the city were dying without a trace. No blood, no struggle, just 2 small bite marks. No one could explain it. No one could stop it. Until one woman stepped into the darkness. What she discovered would shake the city forever. Because sometimes, the most dangerous monsters wear a perfect face. So sit back, relax, and watch this captivating tale unfold. You won't believe what happens next. Leosville was a city that never slept. The lights were always on. The streets were full of shiny cars, busy people, and music coming from fancy bars and rooftop clubs. Everywhere you looked, people were chasing money, beauty, or fame. In Leosville, you had to shine or be forgotten. But lately, the city was holding its breath. It started with the death of a young influencer, then another, and another. Now, it was Linda Mensa. Linda was only 25. She was beautiful, with glowing skin and legs that seemed to go on forever. Everyone on Instagram knew her name. She lived in a luxury apartment on the 17th floor of Diamond Heights. People saw her at fashion shows, red carpet events, and luxury hotel lounges. She had everything until she didn't. That morning, the security guard at her building said something didn't feel right. Her delivery had been left at the door. No one had seen her all day. They called the building manager and he opened the door. What they saw made the man drop his keys. Linda was lying on the white carpet, eyes wide open, skin pale, not a drop of blood, no signs of a struggle, nothing stolen, just 2 small, deep marks on her neck, like something had bitten her. By noon, the whole city had heard. The news was everywhere, TV, blogs, TikTok, Twitter. Everyone was asking the same thing. How could this happen again? Linda was the 5th woman to die in just 3 months. All young, all stunning, all living in expensive high-rises, all found alone in their apartments with no signs of violence, except those 2 strange marks. The police were lost. They checked security footage, nothing. No forced entry, no strange visitors. Medical experts said the marks looked like snake bites, but that made no sense. No snake could get into a 17th floor apartment, and even if it did, how could it kill someone so quietly and leave no mess? The media gave it a name, the high-rise curse. TV hosts said it might be poison. Psychics said it was a spirit. Twitter said it was a serial killer. Everyone had a theory, but no one had answers. Mothers warned their daughters to stop going out at night. Socialites canceled their dates and stayed off Instagram for a while. But still, the fear grew. Girls whispered at nail salons. Makeup artists talked about it while doing brows. The streets still sparkled, but people were scared. Because deep down everyone knew, whoever was doing this was still out there, and no one could tell who would be next. While the city of Leosville whispered in fear, one man stood in the spotlight, shining brighter than ever. Denzel Madu. At just 34, Denzel was already a billionaire. He was the CEO of Madu Tech, the biggest smart security company in all of Africa. His face was on magazine covers. His voice was heard at tech summits. His name? Always trending. But it wasn't just his money or success that got people talking. It was him. Denzel had the kind of looks that made people stare. His skin was dark and smooth like rich chocolate. His jawline looked like it was carved with a blade. He had a body like someone who worked out every single morning without fail. Strong arms, wide chest, firm abs you could count through his tight shirt. But the one thing people never forgot was his smile. That smile could melt you. It was soft, confident, dangerous, like he knew something you didn't. Every time he walked into a room, women turned. Men looked too, some with admiration, others with jealousy. He should have been a model, they always said. Or, that man is too fine to be real. And many believed he was the most eligible bachelor in Leosville. He dressed like a king, clean suits, designer shoes, gold cufflinks, even his perfume left people talking long after he was gone. But Denzel wasn't just looks, he was also smart, charming, smooth with words. At tech conferences, people hung on to his every sentence. At charity galas, he gave out millions with a humble smile. Women lined up for a chance to speak with him. Some only wanted a selfie. Others dreamed of being the one to change his single status. But Denzel never dated publicly. He was always polite, always distant. When Linda Mensa died, a few online detectives pointed out that she had once attended a private after-party hosted by Denzel. But the rumor didn't last. There were no photos of them together, no proof. And of course he had an alibi. He always did. People brushed it off. He's not that kind of man, they said. He's too calm, too elegant, too perfect. But what they didn't know, what no one could even imagine, was that behind that charming smile, behind that smooth voice, behind the perfect suits and gentle laugh, Denzel was hiding something terrible. The man everyone admired, the man the whole city trusted, was the very monster they were all running from. In Leosville's richest places, on rooftops, in glass towers, at private yacht parties, Denzel Madou moved like royalty. He didn't walk, he glided, always calm, always sure of himself. His smile opened doors, his charm made people lean closer. Wherever he went, people made space for him, like they were in the presence of someone powerful. The women? They didn't just like him, they adored him. He was the dream, the full package, the rich, handsome man who could make any woman feel like the only one in the room. Influencers, TV hosts, fashion girls, and businesswomen, they all knew his name. Some even fought over him in private circles. Being seen next to Denzel was a win. Getting a photo with him? Bigger. But having him take you home? That was the jackpot. Or so they thought. Denzel never rushed. He was smooth, patient. He would sit with them at dinner, listening with soft eyes. He would laugh at their jokes, compliment their earrings, hold the door. He made women feel special, wanted, seen. And every time, they fell. He always left events alone, always polite, never dramatic, but behind the scenes, the truth was darker. One by one, the women who were last seen speaking with Denzel, laughing, blushing, whispering in his ear, would later turn up dead. No one connected the dots. How could they? He was perfect, untouchable. But behind closed doors, it was different. The soft lights of his penthouse, the wine, the music, the gentle way he ran his fingers across a woman's hand. All of it was part of the trap. When the moment was right, he would lean in close, his voice like a warm breeze, and whisper, "Do you know what makes a man's manhood different from a snake?" Most women would laugh. Some would blush, thinking he was flirting. A few looked confused, but it was always too late. Then he would whistle, a soft sound, almost beautiful. It floated through the room, slow and haunting. And then the horror began. From beneath his silk robe, something would move. A snake, dark, thick, and smooth like oil. It would slide out slowly, alive, real, and coil around the woman's legs. By the time she noticed, she couldn't scream. She was frozen. The fear took over. And then, the bite. Always in the neck, quick, sharp, silent. 2 perfect fangs. The venom worked fast. The women would shake, gasping for air, eyes wide in shock. Denzel just watched. No emotion, no regret, just silence. Afterward, he cleaned up. He had a system. By morning, the body would be found somewhere else, an empty room, a bathtub, an abandoned building, a lonely bush path. People would cry. The police would investigate. The city would talk. But Denzel would be drinking tea in his glass office, smiling. Because no one ever suspected the man with the perfect face and reputation. The city was no longer what it used to be. The clubs still opened, the lights still flickered, the music still played. But something had changed. Something people could feel in the air. Fear. It sat quietly between conversations, behind makeup mirrors, in the corners of brightly lit restaurants. Nobody wanted to say it out loud, but everyone knew. Something evil was moving through the city. Every week it seemed another woman was gone, young, beautiful, powerful, found lifeless with those same strange marks on her neck. No explanation. People were terrified. Twitter exploded with theories.
One person tweeted, "This is a spiritual attack. The devil is walking in a suit." Another replied, "Maybe the girls were chasing rich men and fell into bad hands. These slay queens want soft life by force." Some agreed, others were angry. Don't blame the victims. Focus on the evil that's doing this. Rich or not, they're still human beings. They didn't deserve this. Podcasts and gossip blogs joined in. One show claimed it was a cult, a snake-worshipping circle hidden in the elite. Another said it was a shapeshifter, a man who turns into a serpent at night. The wildest one? That the snake itself was choosing the women. Every corner of the internet had something to say. But still, no one mentioned Denzel. Even though some of the dead women had been seen near him, nobody connected the dots. He was too clean. The man who donated to widows, the tech genius who gave scholarships to orphans. No one could imagine that he was the nightmare. Meanwhile, the city started changing. Girls stopped going out late. Influencers cancelled club appearances. Luxury lounges became half empty. Makeup artists, drivers, hairstylists, they all had their own stories. Everyone had a friend of a friend who had once spoken to one of the dead girls. Fear crept into every mirror and makeup bag, every DM, every quiet ride home. And Denzel? He stayed calm, always smiling, always polite. In public, he looked like a king. He shook hands, gave interviews, laughed at jokes. But in private, he watched, he studied, he picked. And inside his soul, something darker was growing, something hungry. Because Denzel wasn't just killing for pleasure. He was feeding his power. Months passed, but the deaths didn't stop. It didn't matter that the police promised results. It didn't matter that new security lights were installed in high-rises, or the club started checking IDs and scanning everyone at the door. Still, women kept dying, always the same kind. Young, beautiful, some rich, some hustling. No signs of struggle. No fingerprints, no cameras catching anything. No leads. Leosville was choking on fear. The rich stopped sleeping with their windows open. Women left events in groups, locking their car doors before they even started the engine. But the city had no idea that the game was about to change. Because that week, Vanessa Okoye returned. She was 28, beautiful, confident, and calm like water. Her skin was smooth and glowing like she didn't let the world touch her too deeply, but behind her eyes there was a quiet fire, something that didn't die easy. Vanessa had lived in the United States for years, working as a behavioral psychologist and part-time investigative journalist. She was smart with people. She could read a smile and know what was hiding behind it. She could hear a lie inside a compliment, and she didn't scare easily. But this time, she had come back home carrying something heavy. Her sister, Amanda, was gone. Amanda was only 25, a fashion designer full of life and laughter. She had just opened her boutique in Leosville when it happened. They found her in her apartment, cold, quiet, and gone. 2 perfect marks on her neck, just like the others. Vanessa's heart broke into pieces when she heard, but she didn't cry long. She packed her bags, she boarded a plane, and she came back to find the truth. She didn't trust the police. She didn't trust the headlines. She didn't trust anyone who said these things happen. Vanessa moved into Amanda's old flat. Everything was still there. Her perfume, her sketchbooks, her half-finished outfits. Her voice still echoed faintly in the corners of the room. The flat felt haunted, but not by ghosts, by questions. What happened that night? Who was Amanda last seen with? Why were the same kind of women dying with the same kind of marks and no one had answers? Vanessa didn't know who the killer was, but she made herself a quiet promise. I don't care how rich he is. I don't care how powerful. I will find him, and I will stop him. 2 weeks after settling into Amanda's flat, Vanessa got an invitation to a tech gala at the Crystal Dome Hotel. It was one of those elite events, big money, big names, and cameras everywhere. But Vanessa wasn't going to shine. She went to watch, to listen, to learn more about the people Amanda used to be around. She wore a simple black gown. Her hair was pulled back, no fake smile, no loud jewelry, just clean, calm, and focused. As she walked into the room, people turned to look. She was beautiful,
But there was something else about her, something strong. She didn't try to impress anyone. She didn't even seem moved by the glitz and glitter. Her eyes were searching, but quietly. And from across the hall, Denzel Madhu saw her. He had just finished talking to a governor's wife when his eyes landed on her. She wasn't looking at him. She wasn't looking at anyone. She moved with peace in her steps, like the room didn't deserve her energy. Denzel's smile dropped a little. He tilted his head, watching her with quiet curiosity. He was used to women melting when they saw him. Some giggled, others stared, some even sent drinks to his table. But this one? She didn't flinch, she didn't blush, she didn't even smile. She looked at him once, just once, and then looked away like he was just part of the wall. Something about that made his chest tighten. Not in a bad way, but in a challenge kind of way. He leaned back in his seat, eyes still on her. "Who is she?" he whispered to his assistant. Nobody knew. But inside Denzel, something dark and twisted began to turn. His ego, sharp like glass, had been touched. And now he couldn't look away. He had to have her. Meanwhile, Vanessa stood near the wine table, pretending to scroll through her phone. But in her chest, something wasn't sitting right. Across the room, she could feel his eyes on her. Denzel. She didn't know who he was yet. But the way he looked at her wasn't normal. It wasn't playful or casual. It felt strange, like he was trying to figure out how to take her apart piece by piece. She felt her body tighten without knowing why. Call it guts, call it instinct, but something deep inside her whispered, "That man. Something is wrong with him." She kept her distance. Later that night, Vanessa sat in her sister Amanda's old room, the lights dim, her laptop open. She couldn't sleep. Denzel Madhu's face kept flashing in her mind. The way he looked at her, silent, cold, studying her like a puzzle, made her skin crawl. She knew she had to find her sister's killer as soon as possible. So she began her investigation. She started with Amanda's old phone. She had it unlocked a week ago. The messages were full of laughter, voice notes, and pictures. But near the end, something changed. Amanda had stopped replying quickly. Her voice notes became shorter. She was meeting someone, but never said who. One message stood out. "There's something weird about him, but I don't know what." Vanessa's heart clenched. She checked Amanda's calendar. There was a gala 2 nights before her death, a private event hosted by a tech company. The host? Denzel Madhu. Vanessa froze. She pulled up articles and photos from the event. There was Amanda, standing in the background of one picture, smiling. In another, Denzel was just a few steps away from her, laughing with a group. It wasn't just Amanda. Vanessa dug deeper. She made a list of the other dead women, 5 names. All young, all beautiful, all found in luxury flats with the same bite marks. She searched their last known appearances. One had attended a charity ball. Another had been at a smart home launch. Another was seen at a yacht party, all hosted by or connected to Denzel Madhu. Her hands began to shake as she looked at the list. The pattern was there, quiet, hidden, but there. She needed more. Vanessa found a contact, a former maid who used to clean at Denzel's building. They met at a corner table at a fast food joint. The maid, a soft-spoken woman named Uju, looked tired and scared. "Why did you leave the job?" Vanessa asked gently. Uju lowered her voice. "I kept hearing things at night, from the top floor." "What kind of things?" Uju hesitated. "Hissing, like a snake, but louder, wet, moving." Vanessa blinked. "You're sure?" "Yes. I cleaned there for 2 years, but the last few months, something changed. The air felt heavy, cold, like eyes were watching. I had to leave before something found me." Vanessa said thank you and left, her heart pounding. It didn't make sense. Snakes, in a penthouse. She hadn't gone far. While buying roasted corn near a roadside vendor, she overheard 2 women talking.
It was the maid and an older woman. They say the man is not normal. Which man? Vanessa turned slightly, pretending to look at tomatoes. An eating man, the woman said. From the old stories. He walks in fine clothes, but something lives inside him. Vanessa walked away quickly, her chest tight. It sounded like madness. This was the 21st century, not some folk tale. She didn't believe in legends, not talking snakes, not men who fed demons. There had to be another answer. 3 days after the gala, Vanessa's phone rang. An unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something told her to pick. Hello? The voice on the other end was calm, smooth, dangerous. Good afternoon, Vanessa. She paused. Who is this? Denzel Madhu. Her heart skipped. She stood from her chair, eyes narrowing. How did you get my number? There was a short laugh on the line. Not loud, just quiet enough to crawl under her skin. Vanessa, in this city, there's nothing I can't get. Not a number, not a name. She felt the words sit heavy in her chest. Well, you got the wrong one, she said sharply. Then she ended the call. No goodbye. No thank you. Just silence. Denzel stood by his window that evening, staring out at the city lights, phone still in hand. His jaw was tight, his eyes darker than usual. She had dismissed him, just like that. No giggle, no fake smile, no. We'll talk later. She had shut the door in his face, and it burned. His obsession only grew deeper. She would be his. And when the time came, she wouldn't be able to walk away. Vanessa sat on the floor of Amanda's flat, her back against the couch, shaking slightly. Something about that call had chilled her. She couldn't explain it. His voice was polite, calm. But it didn't feel like a compliment. It felt like a threat wrapped in a smile. Later that afternoon, her close friend Chinello came to visit. Chinello was warm, spiritual, and always had a way of saying the uncomfortable things. You look tired, she said, handing Vanessa a small bowl of hot pepper soup. I am, Vanessa replied softly. I feel like I'm chasing a ghost. Maybe that's because you're trying to use your brain for something only your spirit can catch. Vanessa raised an eyebrow. What does that mean? I mean, you've used tech, science, logic. And where has it gotten you? Vanessa looked down. She had no answer. Sometimes, Chinello continued, life isn't all formulas and psychology. Sometimes what you're looking for lives in shadows science can't see. Vanessa didn't believe in magic, not really, but she believed in pain. And her pain was growing. She had no leads, no help. Only Amanda's empty bed and Denzel's quiet voice playing in her head. So the next morning she went to Yala local government area. Someone had told her about a small, quiet herbalist there. The place was hidden between old shops and crowded kiosks. It smelled of herbs, dust, and something older. The herbalist was a thin, bent woman with gray eyes and a mouth that never stopped moving. Vanessa sat down quietly, her hands folded in her lap. I need help, she said. The woman said nothing for a while, just stared. Then finally she whispered, There is a man walking in this city with a demon in his trousers. He doesn't sleep. He feeds. Vanessa froze. The old woman leaned closer. You will not win with logic. Go and see Mama Adeze. She sees what others refuse to see. If you want the truth, go to her. Vanessa stood to leave. She didn't believe in demons, or spirit men, or snakes hiding in suits. But she believed in her sister, and she was dead while her killer was still walking free. And if there was even the smallest chance this strange old woman was right, she would take it. Vanessa got home just after sunset. She shut the door behind her and dropped her bag on the floor. The scent of burnt herbs still clung to her clothes from the visit to the herbalist. Her mind was heavy, confused, tired, but not afraid. She just needed to think. Her phone buzzed again. She looked at the screen and sighed. 4 missed calls, 3 voice notes, 2 text messages, all from one name, Denzel Madhu. She didn't open any of them. This man never gives up, she thought, shaking her head. She threw the phone face down on the couch and went to the kitchen, made tea, took a long shower, tried to block him from her mind. But the more she tried to forget, the more she remembered what the old herbalist said. There is a man walking in this city with a demon in his trousers. That line played over and over again in her head. She barely slept that night. Her alarm rang at 6 a.m., but she was already up, dressed and ready. Today she was going to Mama Adese. The road to the edge of Leosville was rough and dusty, far from the shiny towers and rich neighborhoods. Vanessa boarded 2 buses, then took a bike into the bushy outskirts where time seemed slower and the air was heavier. Finally, they stopped in front of a small round hut covered in dried palm leaves and ash drawings. She stepped down quietly. The smell hit her first, burning herbs, earth, and something old. Not dirty, just ancient. Inside, it was dark but warm. Clay pots lined the walls. Strange symbols were painted on every corner, and in the middle of the room sat a woman, eyes closed, body still, like she had been waiting for her all along. Mama Adese. Her skin was wrinkled but beautiful. Her white hair was tied with red string. She didn't look up. She just spoke. "You've come because of Amanda." Vanessa froze. She hadn't said a word yet. "You want to know who took her life," Mama Adese continued. "You want to know why the women are dying." Vanessa sat slowly. Her throat was dry. "Yes," she whispered. There was silence. Then the woman's voice turned low, slow, sharp. "His name is Denzel Madu." Vanessa's chest stopped. "He walks like a king, speaks like honey, smiles like sun. But inside him lives a snake born from the sea." Vanessa's lips parted, but no words came out. "He made a blood pact with a marine spirit. He gave his body for power, seduction, and wealth. In return, the spirit placed a creature in him, a snake that feeds on lust. Each time it bites, it drinks the life of a woman. And with each death, Denzel becomes stronger, richer, untouchable." Tears gathered in Vanessa's eyes, but she didn't let them fall. She had always known something about him felt off, but she never imagined it was this. "How do I stop him?" she asked, her voice shaking. Mama Adese opened a small wooden box. Inside was a thin white whistle, smooth, carved from ivory, with strange markings across its surface. This whistle was made with chants and sealed by fire. It belongs to no man, no spirit. It listens only to the one whose heart is clean. She placed it gently in Vanessa's hand. "Blow it at the peak of his evil, when the snake begins to rise. If you carry no lust in your heart, if you desire nothing from him, then the snake will obey you." Vanessa stared at the whistle in her palm. It looked simple, small, silent. But she knew it carried something stronger than bullets. She had a weapon now, and for the first time since Amanda died, she had hope. Vanessa sat on the edge of the bed, the whistle resting quietly in her hand. The room was still, but her mind was loud. Everything Mama Adese said echoed in her head about the snake, the pact, the blood, and the power Denzel gained from each woman who died. She held the whistle tighter. "I have to end this, but I can't do it by running away." She needed to get closer, close enough to see the evil with her own eyes, close enough to stop it. She stood up, took a deep breath, and made a decision. She would play his game, but by her own rules. The next time Denzel called, she answered. "Vanessa," he said smoothly, his voice like warm water. "You finally picked." She smiled lightly, her voice soft. "Maybe I've been too hard. Maybe I just needed time." Denzel leaned back in his office chair, a slow grin crawling onto his face. He muted the call and whispered to himself, "I knew it. She was only playing hard to get." That night he poured himself a drink and toasted the air. "She'll be mine, soon." Days passed. Vanessa kept her act sharp. They started texting, not too much, just enough. She replied with small jokes, cute emojis, playful words. She let him think he was winning. And it worked. Denzel was thrilled, obsessed. He sent her flowers, expensive chocolates, invitations to brunches, launches, and art galleries. And every time Vanessa said yes, but made sure they only met in public. Always crowded places, always where she could be seen. Never alone. She played the part well, laughed at his jokes, let him hold her hand in public, even let him take pictures with her once. But inside, she stayed sharp, watching, listening. She noticed how his eyes followed every woman that walked by, how his smile never truly reached his eyes, how his hand always rested too long on the lower back. Vanessa saw it all. Denzel, on the other hand, was confident. He thought she was falling. He started dropping hints. "One day soon, I'll show you my real world," he said during a dinner date at a rooftop restaurant. "You mean your penthouse?" Vanessa asked lightly, sipping her drink. "Exactly," he smiled. "But not yet. Only when the moment is perfect." Vanessa nodded, hiding the chill that ran down her spine. "Let him think he's in control," she told herself. "Let him think I'm just another one." But deep down, she knew the truth. She was not like the others. She had come prepared. And when the moment came, she would be ready. It happened on a Friday evening. After weeks of playful texting, public dates, and soft whispers, Denzel finally sent the message he had been dying to send. "Private dinner at my place. Just us. No noise, no cameras. 8 p.m. Vanessa stared at the screen for a long time. She knew what this meant. This was it. The peak. The final act. She replied with a smiley face and one word. "Sure." Denzel smirked when he saw the message. He stood by his full-length mirror, adjusting his gold cufflinks and nodding to himself. "I told you, Vanessa. You can't resist me." He walked through the penthouse, checking everything. Candles on the glass table. 2 wine glasses. Soft jazz music playing in the background. Fresh roses in a silver vase. And in the bedroom, silk sheets. He lit the candles and dimmed the lights. Everything was perfect. Tonight, she would be his. And by morning, she would be gone. Vanessa arrived right on time. No makeup, just clean lip balm and calm eyes. But inside her purse was the whistle. Her heart beat hard in her chest as she stepped into the penthouse. The place was beautiful. Glass walls, gold furniture, a soft smell of lavender in the air. It looked like the kind of place where nothing bad could happen. But Vanessa knew better. "You look beautiful," Denzel said, smiling as he took her coat. "Thank you," she replied, her voice calm. They sat at the table. He served the wine himself, poured it slow like a man with no rush. His eyes never left her face. They talked about life, about Leosville, about nothing. Vanessa played along, smiled where she needed to, laughed at the right moments. But her mind was focused. Every movement he made, she watched. Every time he stepped away, she listened. She kept one hand near her purse where the whistle waited. She didn't know how long she had before the moment came. But she knew it would come. "You're different, Vanessa," Denzel said, his eyes glowing under the candlelight. "So I've heard," she answered. "No," he said, leaning closer. "You're not like the others. You make me feel seen." Vanessa nodded slowly. "I see more than you know." His smile faltered for a second. Just a flicker. Then he stood. "Would you like to see the rest of the place?" Vanessa stood too, heart pounding. "Lead the way." And as she followed him toward the shadowed hallway that led to the inner room, she tightened her fingers around the whistle. Denzel led Vanessa into the bedroom. It was just as she expected, luxurious, walls painted in deep earth tones. A soft gold chandelier hung from the ceiling, silk sheets on the bed, candles flickering gently by the corners. Soft music hummed in the background, barely loud enough to hear. He closed the door behind them. Vanessa stood still. She didn't look afraid. But inside, her heart was racing. Her fingers stayed near the whistle hidden inside her purse. "You want another glass of wine?" Denzel asked. "I'm okay," she replied softly. He smiled and walked to her slowly. Not too fast, not aggressive, just smooth.
like a man who thought he had already won. "You know," he said, standing in front of her, "I've waited a long time for this moment." Vanessa gave a small smile. "Have you?" "Yes. From the first day I saw you. You acted like I was invisible. That got to me." She said nothing. He leaned closer. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Do you know what makes a man's manhood different from a snake?" Vanessa froze. This was it. She didn't speak. She didn't move. Denzel stepped back slightly. And then he whistled. A soft, smooth sound. It was almost beautiful, almost gentle. But the air shifted. Something dark crept into the room. A cold wind brushed Vanessa's arm. And then she heard it. A hiss. From beneath Denzel's long silk robe, something moved in place of his manhood. Slow, heavy, alive. And then it appeared. A snake. Black and shiny. Thick like a grown man's arm. Its skin glistened under the candlelight. It slithered out slowly, its tongue flicking, its head rising. The room felt smaller, quieter. The serpent's eyes locked onto Vanessa's. It moved toward her, slow and steady, like it was tasting her fear in the air. Vanessa didn't breathe. She didn't blink. Her fingers tightened inside her purse, wrapping around the ivory whistle. But she didn't move yet. The snake was coming closer. And the evil inside Denzel had finally shown its face. The snake inched closer. Its black body shimmered in the candlelight, smooth and deadly. Its tongue flicked the air as it raised its head, eyes locked on Vanessa. Denzel stood behind it, smiling slowly, proud of what was coming. Vanessa didn't move. Not yet. She waited for the exact moment, the moment Mama Adiza warned her about. Blow it at the peak of his evil. The snake hissed, coiled tighter, then lunged forward, ready to strike. That was when Vanessa raised her hand. She pulled out the ivory whistle and blew. The sound pierced the room. Sharp, high, almost not human. Everything stopped. The snake froze mid-air, its body stiff, fangs out, confused. Its head turned slowly, eyes blinking. It looked back at Vanessa, not with hunger, but uncertainty. She blew again, louder, sharper. The snake let out a loud hiss. It twisted in the air, spun around, and with shocking speed it turned toward Denzel. "Wait, what is?" he whispered, eyes wide. Too late. The snake struck. Its fangs sank deep into his neck. Denzel let out a choked gasp, stumbling back. His hand reached for the bite, but his fingers shook wildly. "No, no." He fell to the floor, gasping, twitching. Vanessa walked forward, her voice calm but full of fire. "That was for Amanda, for every woman you used, for every life you stole." Denzel's eyes watered. His mouth opened, trying to speak. But nothing came out, just a broken wheeze. "You thought you were a god," she said, standing over him. "But you were just a coward hiding behind a curse." He blinked slowly. His lips moved, but still, no words. His strength was leaving him fast. "You finally found your match." His body twitched one last time. Then it went still. The snake slowly pulled away, slithering into the shadows behind the bed, silent, cold, and done with its master. Denzel's eyes stared up at the ceiling, wide, lifeless. His skin turned pale, his lips dark, his heart silent. He was gone. And the room fell into a strange, perfect silence. Vanessa stood there, chest rising and falling, the whistle still in her hand. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just closed her eyes. It was over. The moment Denzel took his last breath, Vanessa pulled out her phone. Her hands were steady, her voice calm. She called the police immediately. When they arrived at the penthouse, she was already waiting at the door. No tears, no panic, just truth. She handed them her phone. She gave them Amanda's phone too. She spoke clearly and without fear, walking them through everything. The hidden recordings. The dead snake that lay curled beside Denzel. The officers looked shaken. Some refused to watch the full video at first, but when they saw the snake rise from Denzel's pants and strike, they had no choice but to believe. The story spread like wildfire inside the force.
No one had ever seen anything like it. And just like that, everything began to move. 2 days later, a press conference was held at the Leosville State Hall. Cameras lined the room. Reporters stood shoulder to shoulder. Security officers stood by the walls. Victims' families sat in the front rows, tired, broken, waiting. Then the commissioner stepped forward. After several months of fear, loss, and confusion, he began. "We now have answers." He paused. The room was dead silent. The man behind the deaths of at least 7 women in Leosville was billionaire tech mogul Denzel Madu. A loud gasp swept through the crowd. "We have evidence, video footage, testimonies, confirmed spiritual activity. Denzel Madu made a dark pact with forces we cannot fully understand and used them to end lives." The screen behind him lit up. Photos, messages, clips. The final one? The video of the snake, dark, deadly, alive, striking Denzel. Some people covered their mouths. Others looked away. Victims' families began to weep, not out of pain this time, but out of relief. He was gone. He paid. And the truth was finally out. Social media exploded. The snake Manhood trended for 3 days. People posted clips of Denzel from old interviews, shocked by how calm and kind he once seemed. "I once took a selfie with him," someone tweeted. "I could have been next. I used to dream of marrying that man. God saved me." The guilt, the fear, the shock swept through the city like a wave. Influencers cried on live streams. Radio hosts apologized for praising him. News anchors admitted they were fooled too. But in the center of it all stood one woman, Vanessa, quiet, strong, unshaken. She didn't want fame. She didn't want credit. She just wanted peace. And now, finally, she had it. After the press conference, everything crumbled. Denzel Madu's empire collapsed overnight. His board members resigned. His tech company, Madu Tech, lost investors by the hour. News channels took down his interviews. Magazines deleted their covers. Buildings that once had his name carved in gold now had bare, blank walls. Nobody wanted to be linked to him. His name was no longer spoken with praise. It became a curse. That one, the man with the snake, don't even say his name here. His photos disappeared from offices, awards, and glossy brochures. No one claimed to have ever supported him. Even those who once called him friend deleted old pictures and changed the subject when he came up. And the whistle? The sacred ivory whistle Vanessa used to end his reign was placed in a glass box inside the National History Museum of Leosville, under soft lights with a single tag. The whistle that saved us. People came from across the country just to see it, to read the story beside it, to remember what happened, and what was hidden beneath a perfect smile. As for Vanessa, she didn't ask for attention. She didn't write a book. She didn't start a talk show. She didn't try to be famous. She just went home. She moved out of Amanda's old flat and into a quiet, simple space near the hills. She spent her mornings walking, her afternoons reading. She visited Amanda's grave every week and told her softly, "He's gone, Amanda. You can rest now." And even though she had peace, she would never be the same again, because she had looked evil in the eye, and she had blown the whistle. The story became a legend, not just in Leosville but beyond. It spread through campuses, hair salons, church gatherings, street corners. People told it like a warning. Beware of things that seem too perfect. Some snakes don't hiss, they smile. Mothers told their daughters. Sisters told their friends. Old men at newspaper stands whispered it like a secret passed down through time. And every time someone asked if it was true, they said, "Ask the woman with the quiet eyes, the one who didn't run, the one who stood. Her name is Vanessa." Moral final message. Never trust only what the eyes see. Some charm hides deadly secrets.